And that's what it is like outdoors. But here inside, it's cozy and warm. And the 3 rescued kitty cats are not out in the snow, in the cold, and they're away from bad animals and bad people and away from hunger. And they are singing songs. Oh, that's such a nice song.com. Oh, that's such a nice song.com. I'm amazed about something. I have asked, 5 or 10, 15 people as we sat around a dinner table or as we were riding along in a car to count 5 things, 5 good things that happened to you in the year 2012. I'm amazed, folks. They have a hard time even finding 3. And here they've been given all of these blessings. Just copiousness of blessings. Every minute of their lives. And they struggle to find 3 for a whole year. You and I have learned long ago what? To count 15 blessings an hour. Somebody made clusters. Huge clusters, folks. Huge clusters. Millions of miles wide clusters. Somebody subdivided these clusters into what we call galaxies. And then somebody subdivided these galaxies into what we call stars. What's a star? A star is a ball of gas held together by its own gravity. What's gravity? Wow. Somebody did this. A star is a ball of gas held together by its own gravity. What gas? Hydrogen. Hydrogen's a cluster. What's in it? Proton? Neutron? An electron? We used to think that was the element, nothing smaller. But that's not how God works. Oh! Somebody did all this. Who is this somebody? Who is this somebody who did all this? Well, I choose to call this somebody God. What do you do? And this hydrogen atom, now they think it consists of quarks and other elementary particles, 6 or 7 of them. And then you have Glennie saying that the basic is electromagnetic waves. And saying where 2 electromagnetic waves converge, you've got the first particle. That's Glennie saying that, hypothesizing that. And this hydrogen in a star, a nuclear furnace. Now, this is God's way. This is somebody's way. Come together in fusion and make the next element up, helium. And then another hydrogen atom is added. This is Glennie's hypothesis now. And you got the 3rd element up, and the 4th, and the 5th, till you get up to the nice one, oxygen. 8 of them. carbon 12. And they make such interesting molecules. And somebody takes those molecules and makes life out of them. Animal life, plant life. Little tiny, tiny, tiny. Nano. And then somebody makes those into cells. And what's a cell do? A cell can eat, it can excrete, it can move, and it can reproduce. Now you've got organs. And these organs combine to make a body. And these beautiful bodies. Fish and birds and reptiles. And our friends the mammals. And these little furry packages right here. Who purr. And dogs who wag their tails. And this somebody put together a mind that tells the body what to do. And this somebody put together motion. Look at the motion. Look at all the motion in the world. And people have people have a problem counting 5 blessings that happen in a whole year. Well, I call that somebody God. And I love that somebody. With all your heart? Yes. With all your soul? Yes. With all your mind? Yes. Do you love your neighbors yourself? Better. God gave you a whole year. This is a calendar. This is New Year's Day, and this is 2013. God just handed you out a whole year. Let's send some money to PETA, and let's send some money to the Liberty and Justice for All, means for the animals, for the Animal Legal Defense Fund. Are these good organizations? Does the money really go to the animals? If you give locally, you know where the money goes. And here is Sky Magazine, sent to me by my good friend, Staten Island, Patricia Brady, who is the sponsor of a chat with Glendora on Staten Island. And in this magazine, folks, you will see magnificent pictures of galaxies. They have these beautiful telescopes and these exact cameras that show you these magnificent galaxies that are millions of miles big. These magnificent galaxies. Here's what was happening in the sky this month. And it's so precise. And God does it so well that it's all predictable. And that somebody is magnificent. And there's that motion again. Not only the motion of your body, folks, but the motion of those bodies in the sky. I love the pictures of the stars and of the galaxies. Do we have a picture yet of a cluster of galaxies? All right, come up with 15 blessings right now. Electricity, electrons, health, power to perform, physically, mentally, spiritually, morally, legally, aptitude, capability, capacitance, facility, choice. Colors. That's 15. Now rejoice about 4 things. A new year. A new year of glorious fulfillment from the sky above. A new year with an opportunity to give happiness. And a new year of laughter and joy and thanks. So we do that 20 an hour, 20 an hour, and yet these people had a hard time getting above 3 for a year. What's that tell you about us? Self. Too much self. Worrying about self. Not taking time to count blessings. And if you do take time to think of only the good and keep self out, here are some of the things God gives you. Do you want these? Gentility, relaxation, refinement, gracefulness, cheerfulness, success. Are these the things you want for 2003? Fulfillment, precision, gladness, quiet, composure, steadiness, answers, being valued. Do you want that? Let us value God and all that God gives. Being valued. Effectiveness, strength, knowing God, control, abundance, maturity, polish, poise, dissolving all bad habits. Whoa, would you like to do that for 2013? Dissolving all deficiencies as of knowledge. For example, being loved by everybody. There's only one way to do that, and that's to love everybody. Confidence. Do you want serenity? Being orderly. Never lying, stealing, or cheating. Never stealing from God. That is being loving. Never stealing from God. That is being loving. You heard about Nellie Potter, who was a crossword puzzle addict, and she said in her will that she wants to be buried 6 down and 3 across. And a man was arrested in a donut shop for not paying his bill. Guess what he was charged with? Impersonating a police officer. And I regret to inform you that this month's meeting of the Clairvoyance Club has been canceled due to unforeseen circumstances. Does your husband suffer from insanity? No, he enjoys it. Cablevision has a new conference table. It's 9 feet long, it's 3 feet wide, and it sleeps 10. What do you want to be when you grow up? Little boy said he wants to be a philanthropist. Why? They seem to have all the money. What is the difference between a Xerox machine and the flute? A Xerox machine makes facsimiles, and the flu makes sick families. A man is walking down the beach, and he picks up a seashell and he puts it to his ear, and this is what he hears. "Why aren't you working, you bum?" It's his mother-in-law. Bill's gone on a half-year's cruise, his family said. Yeah. They sent him up the river for another 6 months. Father Antone, a Roman Catholic priest, a Franciscan. How I love St. Francis of Assisi. Said to me after Christmas Mass, I go to his church at 10 o'clock and then the Protestant Reformed Church at 11 o'clock. And then maybe across the street to the Methodist, Grace Methodist Church, to see if anybody's still there and sit around and talk. Father Antone said, "I was watching television last night." And he said, "I didn't want to watch that channel. I didn't want to watch that channel. I didn't want to watch that channel. I didn't want," and I kept going channel to channel. And you came up. Well, he thought that was a miracle. He thought that was wonderful. Well, it is a miracle. May thy rich grace impart strength to our fainting heart, our zeal inspire. Oh, hear us while we pray, take all our guilt away. Oh, let us from this day be wholly thine. What was I reading from, folks? I was reading from a book called Be Perfect. Let me find it for you. Be perfect. Who said be perfect? Who? Guess. You're right. Jesus Christ. The last sentence of Matthew 5. Be ye perfect, therefore, even as your Father in heaven is perfect. Now let's see what else be perfect tells us to do. Never fighting, starting fights, or fighting back. That was a kitty cat. Let's see what damage was done. Are you all right, kitty? What happened? Come here, little kitty, sheltered from the weather and bad people and bad animals and hunger. Come here, little kitty. Nothing happened bad. Never getting angry. That's easy. Never saying anything bad about anybody. Putting others first. That is, putting God first. Not only putting God first, but putting God only. Being polite, mannerly, and considerate. That all comes, I think, automatically with loving the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and loving your neighbor as yourself. Being worthy of God's trust meaning being true to God. Can you trust yourself? Trusting God is a given. But if you do things you know you shouldn't do, you can expect a kick where? If anything bad happens to you, remember first of all that you deserved it. And it's nobody's fault but your own. That's that old thing of what? 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 Free will. Not talking too much. And no empty talk. If you're in a group, how about overcome the empty talk with asking them to count 5 of the best things that happened to them last week. You can always start with this one. Your heart beats every second. Your lungs breathe every second. No slip of the tongue, nor of the feet, nor of the hand, being as great as possible. Being as great as possible, that's a whole day's assignment, isn't it? A whole life's assignment. And not trying to be greater than anybody else. Being as great as possible and not trying to be greater than anybody else. Gee, you're going to end up happy. Will you help me do all those things? Wholeness, oneness, integrity, being in step with the universe. Being in step with the universe. Full development of talents, abilities, potential. Being skilled. Moving aesthetically. And some people do. It's great to see. Motion that is a pleasure to observe. No longer being afraid to die. No. The promise is made. When the time comes, just say, thank you for all that has been given. Thank you for all the richness. Thank you for the abundant supply. The ample sufficiency. Just keep saying thank you and keep being happy. You know what's going to keep you happy today? You will remember this. You're going to fall apart someday. Just be thankful it isn't today. We're going to fall apart someday. Just be thankful it isn't today. You 2 great big furry kitties. This kitty is silver. You think we should name her Sterling Silver? Sterling Silver? What do you think, .com? Do you like your name.com? I like the name that my mother gave me. Thank you, Mother. Glendora. What's your middle name? Vesta. Who was Vesta? Romans. The Romans, Vesta. There's an asteroid named Vesta. Okay. Can you read this to the folks? Can you read it? Can you show the folks your pretty pointed green eyes? Yeah? Oh, you think you want me to do that for a week or so? Look at her scarf. Look at that. Isn't she beautifully made? Isn't she a great creation? Somebody created her. Who? So, no longer being afraid to die because of having accomplished the highest purpose of life. And what is that? Exactly what you see right here. Love. I think there's some communication there also. Feed me. Of having accomplished the highest purpose of life. No longer being afraid to die because of having accomplished the highest purpose of life. The end of being bossy, uncooperative, rude, inconsiderate, of showing off, of bragging, of asking others to do the job instead of doing the job, of correcting others, and of judging. There's only one you can correct. No more using products attained through hurting animals. No more burning out mind and body without achievement wanted. And the last one is being cultured. And if we can do this, it is. This is a woman's beauty prescription. This is a man's prescription for becoming wealthy. This is a sick body's prescription. This is the prescription for a lonely mind. This is the scientist's prescription for understanding the universe. Indeed, there is no other way but this. This is a new kitty cat that God rescued out of the cold and away from bad people and away from bad animals and away from hunger. And this kitty cat's been rescued for 9 years, and she likes her box. It's almost a sure bet. You open a box or a bag and a cat will get into it. And this is the collection of flyers that I accumulated at the Albany Vegetarian Expo. And there were about 100 booths, and these people were fervent about non-cruelty to animals. And Mercies for Animals is the name of one. And here's one from PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. And this man says, meat is murder. Oh, it is. The cruelty, these poor animals. That's bad enough, the cruelty. But another thing that's bad is that they didn't do anything wrong. They didn't hurt us in any way. Why do we treat them so? Why love one but eat the other? Would you eat your dog or would you eat one of these cats? Then why eat a poor chicken or a poor turkey? Or a poor pig or a cow that's so sweet and never did anything bad? Here's a list of vegan and vegetarian restaurants in the Albany, New York area. And here comes .com. .com is a vegan. Some common chemicals to look for and to avoid. Meat-free zone, vegan. I love these people, and I love being in their company. Think before you eat. Whoops. Think before you eat. Think what you're doing to animals. Think what you're doing to your own body. And there are many vegan documentaries that tell you that a plant-based diet gets rid of heart disease, diabetes, cancer. We make our own lives. The vegan yogi. And these people all look so nice. No flab. Oh, they look so lovely. What is this one? Juice Plus. But also you have to have bulk, like carrots and celery and raw vegetables and nuts. Here's an application how to join the Albany, New York Vegetarian Network. And they have guest speakers. You all right, Dot? Dot wanted to be on TV, .com. That's .com. This kitty hasn't been named yet. Sterling Silver, she is. Guest speakers, potluck gatherings, dinner, movies, group book discussions, guidance for vegans and vegetarians and non-vegetarians, and animal advocacy and green living awareness. Bye, kitty. This is tofurkey, and a woman here, Schiff, wrote out a paper, 12 reasons why you shouldn't eat turkey. I don't know why every holiday has to be ruined by cruelty to animals. Thanksgiving turkey, Christmas, cutting down beautiful pine trees. I don't know why. Here's a vegetarian magazine. On the back of this, and I don't want to look at it, are pictures of animals being tortured, agonized, and slaughtered. Compassion choices. The Woodstock Farm Animal Sanctuary. They rescue farm animals who have been brutally treated and try to give them a good life. Here's the 12 reasons for not eating turkey. 25 reasons to try vegetarianism. Of course, the number one reason is, of course, the cruelty, and number two is your health. 84 years old and no doctors. 84 years old and no doctors. Eating for health. Mercy for Animals. This is put out by Mercy for Animals. Why vegan? Well, I guess you know now why. Guide to cruelty-free eating. Delicious recipes. And the Seventh-day Adventists, I favor that church, the Seventh-day Adventists, because they do not eat meat. They are health advocates. They don't smoke, they don't drink alcoholic beverages. Why would anybody do that and ruin the beautiful body that God has given us? Tofu on the go, and that's the ad in the back of this magazine. This is Vegan Muscle People. Vegan Health and Fitness. Okie dokie, folks, this is Chat with Glendora. And you know, in the old days, folks, a half an hour chat with Glendora used to get something like 45 telephone calls while it was on the TV. And of course, 15 of them had to be after it was over or more. But nowadays, you got maybe 3 or 4 telephone calls a month. But it's people who understand what the message is. The message is happiness. There's only one way to happiness. Love the Lord your God with all your what? Heart, soul, and mind. And love your neighbor as yourself. Did I tell you that the woman was asked, why do you always take your check to the bank as soon as you get it? And the woman said, it's too little to go by itself. And old quarterbacks never die. Old quarterbacks never die. They just pass away. And the woman said, this is the second day of the new year, 2013, Anno Domini, the year of our Lord. And the woman said, last year I was miserable and depressed, but this year I've turned that all around. I'm depressed and miserable. And a man wanted to join Paranoids Anonymous, but they wouldn't tell them where they held the meetings. Why does Marilyn call her son Blister? He doesn't show up until after the work is done. Dad, the girl said to her father about her new boyfriend, he's only a young man trying to get ahead, and Dad says he needs one. And you can tell you're getting home old when you're out and you're faced with two temptations and you take the one that'll get you home at 9 p.m. And there was a little boy who had a little dog, and they would go off to school together every day. It was an endearing sight. They went off to school every day and they came home together every afternoon, and it went on for years, and finally it stopped. The dog graduated. We are learning. We are keeping each other happy. We are working on it together, and we're trying to remind each other to be happy. And you know something, folks, I think that's all it really comes down to, is remembering that you are happy. Remembering at this very moment, well, realizing at this very moment the blessings that are in this moment. And there's no way you and I can count them. 1,000 people couldn't count them. And staying in the present and knowing the presence of God and being the first to love. Now, from this book, Be Perfect, which was published somewhere about the time when the men first walked on the moon, and it's on plastic, it's published on plastic, pages of plastic. And we're up to page 37. And here's a good thing for us, folks. Mistakes can be made in choosing between bad and good, but do you know that mistakes can also be made between choosing good from best? We can also make mistakes in choosing good instead of the best. Why coast on doing what is good when doing what is best is possible? Do you agree with that? Why help another 60% with a tired out mind when helping another 100% with a totally in shape mind is possible? That's good food for thought. Vegan food? That's good food for thought. Say no to helping anybody on these feeble levels. Go home to quiet and solitude and let mind and body become sanctified. Woo! That's huge, but it's hugely important. Let mind and body reach full potential and then go out and help. This time, doing the job impeccably. Thank you, page 37. That's a powerhouse. On a hill far away stood an old rugged cross, the emblem of suffering and shame. Oh, I love that old cross, where the dearest and best for a world of lost sinners was slain. I will cherish the old rugged cross till my trophies I lay down. I will rest, I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. This is the kitty, one of the kitties that God rescued out of the cold. And this morning, folks, it was 0 degrees. Kitty, aren't you glad that God rescued you? And your mother? The mother is on top of the refrigerator. I don't know if you can see her or not. I'm so happy that these kitties are out of the cold and away from animals that might hurt them and away from people that might hurt them. Yeah. And plenty to eat. And this kitty is just getting over being scared, and it took 3 weeks, folks. For 20 days he was in the closet, and now his confidence is up, and he's looking right at you, and he went like that, and you know that that means everything's okay. And this is .com kitty cat, who's 9 years old. .com. Why did the inventor cross a microwave oven with a TV set? So he could watch 60 minutes in a quarter of an hour. We are reading from the book, Be Perfect, and we are cogitating because you and I are on a life to be perfect, aren't we? And you're going to help me, and I'm going to help you. And we've got to do this in 27 minutes. Yeah, okay. And what page are we on, folks? 38. And this is the 3rd day of January. Saturday, Sunday is Epiphany, the 12th day of Christmas, the end of Christmas. And what did you get for Christmas.com? You've got a nice home, you've got a box to go to sleep in, you've got heat, and you've got plenty of food and plenty of water, and protection. You're safe. Nobody hurts you. And you don't hurt anybody. That's a good thing about having cats in the house. They don't get hurt, and they don't hurt anybody. And these cats are on their way to being vegetarian cats. .com's a good little vegan cat. Well now, ever and ever decrease the impediments in the mind. Until there is only one thought, love. Then the mind and body operate properly. And one way to decrease impediments in the mind is not to watch bad television, like the news, for instance, which constantly wants to keep you full of impediments in your mind, and wants constantly to keep you unhappy, and wants constantly to keep you wanting something. So don't watch bad television, don't watch bad movies, don't read bad magazines, etc. And when people start to tell you bad things, say, I don't want to hear it. Clear out the resistances, and the love can flow smoothly from the soul, through the mind, to the body, and then outside to others. That's pretty neat. Clear out the resistances, and the love can flow smoothly from the soul, through the mind, to the body, and then outside to others. And you're one of the others, little .com. And so are you. What are we going to name this black and white kitty? He's going over to Kurt Vincent tomorrow, because Kurt loves him and couldn't figure out how to get him in out of the cold and to tame him. But that's all done tomorrow. Madeline's going to come and take him to Kurt. And you'll have your own room, and you'll have a private bath too. Taking a leave from some activities for a period may appear to be running out on somebody, but explain to those concerned that the mind and body are making mistakes. The mind knows better, but wrong is being done anyway. There is carelessness. Sometimes this carelessness results in hurting others. The performance at work is not at good as this performance could be. The performance as father, mother, husband, wife, student, clergyman, teacher, daughter, son. This performance is not what this performance could be. The lifetime is passing, and goals and ideals are not being satisfied. You probably want to hear that again. Maybe your TV station will repeat it for you, this video. So to find out what should be done with life and what should not, to acquire the habit of doing the first and to erase the habit of doing the second, a leave is being taken from the world for a period to think life through. To strengthen the mind and to build the mind into a proper, effective, and reliable what? Instrument. Is that what you said? Let me shed some light on this. Taking a leave does not mean that you're running out on somebody. It really means that you are giving your best to somebody. You can give to somebody what is good, but on the last program we talked about choosing between bad and good, but also choosing between good and best. Are out of the cold and away from animals that might hurt them and away from people that might hurt them. Yeah. And plenty to eat. And this kitty is just getting over being scared, and it took 3 weeks, folks. For 20 days he was in the closet, and now his confidence is up, and he's looking right at you, and he went like that, and you know that means everything's okay. And this is .com kitty cat, who's 9 years old. .com. Why did the inventor cross a microwave oven with a TV set? So he could watch 60 minutes in a quarter of an hour. We are reading from the book, Be Perfect, and we are cogitating because you and I are on a life to be perfect, aren't we? And you're going to help me, and I'm going to help you. And we've got to do this in 27 minutes. Okay. And what page are we on, folks? 38. And this is the 3rd day of January. Saturday, Sunday is Epiphany. The 12th day of Christmas, the end of Christmas. And what did you get for Christmas.com? You've got a nice home, you've got a box to go to sleep in, you've got heat, and you've got plenty of food and plenty of water, and protection. You're safe. Nobody hurts you. And you don't hurt anybody. That's a good thing about having cats in the house. They don't get hurt, and they don't hurt anybody. And these cats are on their way to being vegetarian cats. .com's a good little vegan cat. Well now, ever and ever decrease the impediments in the mind. until there is only one thought, love. Then the mind and body operate properly. And one way to decrease impediments in the mind is to watch bad television, like the news, for instance, which constantly wants to keep you full of impediments in your mind, and wants constantly to keep you unhappy, and wants constantly to keep you wanting something. So don't watch bad television, don't watch bad movies, don't read bad magazines, etc. And when people start to tell you bad things, say, I don't want to hear it. Clear out the resistances, and the love can flow smoothly from the soul, through the mind, to the body, and then outside to others. That's pretty neat. Clear out the resistances, and the love can flow smoothly from the soul, through the mind, to the body, and then outside to others. And you're one of the others, little.com. And so are you. What are we going to name this black and white kitty? He's going over to Kurt Vincent tomorrow, because Kurt loves him and couldn't figure out how to get him in out of the cold and to tame him. But that's all done tomorrow. Madeline's going to come and take him to Kurt. And you'll have your own room, and you'll have a private bath too. Taking a leave from some activities for a period may appear to be running out on somebody, but explain to those concerned that the mind and body are making mistakes. The mind knows better, but wrong is being done anyway. There is carelessness. Sometimes this carelessness results in hurting others. The performance at work is not at good as this performance could be. The performance as father, mother, husband, wife, student, clergyman, teacher, daughter, son. This performance is not what this performance could be. The lifetime is passing, and goals and ideals are not being satisfied. You probably want to hear that again. Maybe your TV station will repeat it for you, this video. So to find out what should be done with life and what should not, to acquire the habit of doing the first and to erase the habit of doing the second, a leave is being taken from the world for a period to think life through. To strengthen the mind and to build the mind into a proper, effective, and reliable what? instrument. Is that what you said? Let me shed some light on this. Taking a leave does not mean that you're running out on somebody. It really means that you are giving your best to somebody. You can give to somebody what is good, but on the last program we talked about choosing between bad and good, but also choosing between good and best. Taking a leave such as this does not put anybody off. On the contrary, folks, such a leave is putting others first. The first step is being a help, is being able to help. The first step in being a help is being able to help. And that's all we want to do, isn't it? Isn't it, .com? That's all we want to do. We just want to be a help. The work is up to date. The finances are good. The health is perfect. 84 years old and no doctors. There's plenty of time. Just on call to be a help. Just on call to be a help. Let the resignation, we just resigned that we would do this, didn't we? Let the resignation be written rather than vocal. Fear not that the people to whom this is explained will not understand. Fear not that the people to whom this is explained will not understand. The same call is inside of each of these people. These are great thoughts. These are magnificent electromagnetic waves. And they came through cyberspace. And somebody was an amanuensis and wrote them down. Breathe on us, breath of God, fill us with life anew, that we may love as thou dost love, and do as thou wouldst do. Breathe on us, breath of God, until our hearts are pure, until thy will is one with thine, to do and to endure. Breathe on us, breath of God, till we are wholly thine, until this earthly part of us glows with thy spirit divine. Breathe on us, breath of God, so we shall never die, but live with thee the perfect life in thy eternity. This is the Happiness Show. This is Happiness Show number 88. This is Happiness Cat. Dad, the daughter said about the new boyfriend. About the new boyfriend. Dad, he's only a young man going places. And Dad says the sooner the better. And with all these fancy gadgets, why can't they invent a washing machine that tells you what it did with the other sock? Let me share a great piece of wisdom with you. Pin your socks together with a safety pin. Since we have done that, we have never lost a sock. And why should IBM and Goodyear merge? So they can manufacture a computer that makes snap decisions. And why should your income tax forms be printed on Kleenex? Why should your income tax forms be printed on Kleenex? Because you cry when you make them out. And why did they invent the upside down lighthouse? We had a program, there's a history group here, local history group. They meet every month and they talk about history subjects. And one month it was the history of the lighthouses on the Hudson River, from Manhattan up as far as Stuyvesant Falls, just short of Albany. And the reason they invented the upside down lighthouse was for submarines. My husband Franklin was a newspaper reporter for something like 30 years, 36 years. And he loved newspapers. And he would come home from work and he'd be carrying the Buffalo Evening News under his arm and the Buffalo Courier Express and any other newspaper that was lying around the editorial room, like the New York Times, the Philadelphia Inquirer, the Cleveland Press, the Cleveland Plain Dealer, the Richmond, Virginia News Leader. And he came into our house, walking down the sidewalk into our house with all these newspapers under his arm. He happens to encounter the boy delivering the Buffalo Evening News, and the little boy says to him, "Hey, mister, how's your root doing?" Why did the man quit his job at Midas Muffler? What? That's right, it was exhausting. And the new girlfriend says to the new boyfriend, "What's your job? What's your work?" And he said, "I'm a plant manager." And his buddy says, "That's right, it's his job to water them every day." And here's an interesting occupation. A man, his job was to put the one cashew in a can of mixed nuts. And another interesting occupation was selling knee pads to people who wear contact lenses. What do you call a veterinarian who specializes in elephant skin disease? What do you call a veterinarian who specializes in elephant skin disease? A pachydermatologist. I think we will go forward and we will finish page 37 of Be Perfect. And do you remember where the title comes from, folks? It comes from Matthew, the book of Matthew, the New Testament, the Holy Bible, the New Testament, the book of Matthew, chapter 5, in the middle of the Sermon on the Mount, chapter 5, the last sentence says, "Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect." Let's cogitate this one. Instead of being several things well, instead of doing several things well, the desire is I guess it would be better to say the choice is to do one thing perfectly. Rather than to do one thing well, rather than to do several things well, should we concentrate on doing one thing perfectly, and what is that? Loving one another. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. That's also in Matthew. Where? 22, 23. Instead of doing several things well, the choice is to do one thing perfectly. And the one choice is the highest and greatest of all. You just said it. Now, a person, folks, can be A, true to love under all conditions, that's A, or B, true to love under some conditions, and false under others. A is absolute love, and B is conditional love. Which should a person choose? Two things cannot occupy the same space at the same time. This is a fundamental of physics. Two things cannot occupy the same space at the same time. Two things should not occupy the same mind at the same time. Did you see the moon last night? It was a clear night. Of course, it's 0 degrees. It's going to be clear. And one good thing about 0 degrees is too cold to snow. Where am I? I'm on the east side of the Hudson River, 15 miles southeast of Albany, New York. And about 10 miles that way are the Berkshires, magnificent creations of rock and soil and trees and flowers. But not now, not for 3 months, not for 5 months. Improvement is by ordered sequence. How can we apply that? Improvement is by ordered sequence. We'll do a good deed today. We'll do 5 good deeds today. Tomorrow we'll do 6 good deeds. 7, we'll be on call to help. Improvement is by ordered sequence. This is the last box on page 37. This book is in boxes. And that's nice. It's a thought at a time, and a thought that you can ruminate upon and then ingest. This is the last box on page 37. Getting the mind into shape requires great energy. Oh, it does. Long periods of lying down, meditating, are therefore effective, because the energy, instead of going to the body, is going to the mind. Leaves nothing more to say, does it? Kindness. Stop the cruelty to animals. Kindness. Goodness. Selflessness. Here's a Bible passage that I want to be sure that we read before we leave. And it's from Isaiah, the book of Isaiah, the Holy Bible, the Old Testament, the book of Isaiah, chapter 6. The wolf also shall lie down with the lamb. The leopard shall lie down with the young goat. The calf and the young lion together. The cow and the bear shall graze together. And the lion shall eat straw like the horse. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain. Why? Because the earth shall be filled with the love of God, the knowledge of God, as the waters cover the sea. Amazing grace, how great the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and strength and mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. You're going to call me up? May the Lord bless you and keep you, and may his face shine upon you and give you peace. Amen. That also is from the Bible, the Old Testament, the book of Numbers. The woman said to the man at the door, I did not send for the piano tuner. And the man at the door said, no, ma'am, the neighbors did. This is .com, kittycat.com. She's 9 years old. Now, this show is about happiness, and you and I have an agreement to help each other be happy. And a superlative book on this is the book Be Perfect. And it was published around the time when the men first walked on the moon, 1968, 69. And we are being helped by page 39. And it says, a temporary magnet loses magnetism in a short time. Well, a person who lies still and meditates becomes loving. And when this person gets up and moves around, the love is discharged in a short time. But if the person learns to meditate while moving, if you learn to meditate while moving, will you please help me do that? This person no longer acts like a temporary magnet. Are you loving when you move? Isn't she beautiful? Now, that's a very valuable thing to remember. And what's this show for? This show simply reminds you that you are happy. That if you sit down and think about it, you are happy. Because your magnificent God has showered you with abundant blessings. You're in the house. You're warm. You're away from danger. You're not hurting anybody, and nobody's hurting you. Did you count all those blessings? A person has a definite frequency. You have a definite frequency. Magnetic waves, electromagnetic waves, all have a definite frequency. And those definite frequencies make red electromagnetic waves, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, ultraviolet, and on and on. On and on is a definitely a stimulating question. How high do the frequencies go? I think the highest frequency is the electromagnetic wave that I hypothesize is thought. Love wave. Highest frequency, shortest wavelength. A person has a definite frequency at which to vibrate. This frequency is that person's natural frequency. That person's fundamental frequency. Folks, you have a fundamental frequency. Is that why two people get along? They have the same fundamental frequency? When the mind vibrates sympathetically with the soul, there is a maximum transfer of love from the soul to the mind. Yeah, that's worth repeating. When the mind vibrates sympathetically with the soul, there is a maximum transfer of love from soul to mind. To vibrate sympathetically, the mind must vibrate at the same frequency as the soul. Just get your mind in tune with the soul, I guess, huh? Get your soul in tune with the mind. Do you like this? At the person's natural frequency. To vibrate sympathetically, the mind must vibrate at the same frequency as the soul, at the person's natural frequency. This explains the call to slow down. And move at the sure pace that allows ample time to love each encountered 100%. I don't think it could be more translucent. I don't think it could be more clear. This explains the call to slow down and move at the sure pace that allows ample time to love each encountered 100%. I love you 100%. And I love you 100%. And I love you 100%. Establish this internal pace so firmly that no external commotion can upset this pace. Wow! Ooh, that's great. We can do that, can't we? Establish this pace so firmly that no external commotion can upset this pace. This is the natural frequency. When soul and mind agree in frequency, there is resonance. Resonance is you press a key on the piano and it plays a note, and a vase in the room will start vibrating at the same frequency as the note. That's resonance. Resonance reinforces. If I vibrate at your frequency, that's resonance. We are reinforcing each other. That's friendship. Are you fortunate enough to have that? Do you have that with any person? Do you have it with God? When soul and mind agree in frequency, there is resonance. A mind that is carefully adjusted can reinforce love waves from the soul. A mind that does this is a resonator. A mind that is carefully adjusted can reinforce love waves from the soul. A mind that does this is a resonator. Thank you, physicist. Thank you for teaching us about frequency and resonance. Tension, overloading, clutter, useless thoughts put the mind out of shape so that the mind is no longer a resonator. Unload. Keep life simple. Meditate. Sit quietly. Such a mind limps along at forced vibrations, hoping for effectiveness here and there, being appeased by, well, at least I'm doing something. Third or fourth class rationalizing this is better than nothing. What is outside the person it would help if you didn't sit in the light. Imposes vibrations on such a mind no longer free to what is inside, that is, to the soul. No longer true to what is inside, that is, to the soul. Then this person is lonely. Now we know what loneliness is. This person becomes confused and thinks the loneliness is for somebody or something outside the person, when really the person is lonely for the soul inside. The college president was asked to leave the job, and in his farewell speech he said, "I'm leaving this job the same way I entered it, fired with enthusiasm." Well, one thing you can say about a chat with Glendora, that it always has a happy ending. Everybody's glad when it's over. And you heard about the carpenters, 4 carpenters, and they all played the tuba, and they all formed a quartet. What did they call the quartet? The tuba 4. And Ed says he sings like a prisoner, behind 4 bars and looking for the key. The newspaper reporter asked the piano soloist, "Why did you choose to play Beethoven's 4th Piano Concerto?" And the soloist said, "That's what the orchestra was playing." A ship was carrying a load of yo-yos. It struck a reef and it sank 10 times. And another ship was carrying a load of red paint and collided with a second ship carrying a load of purple paint, and at last report, the crews of both ships were marooned. Knock, knock. Who's there? Fortification. Fortification who? Fortification this sheet. For the fortification this week, we go to the mountains. Knock, knock. Who's there? Morris. Morris who? Morris Saturday, next day Sunday. This man said he went to a summer resort and it was so dull, the summer resort was so dull, that the tide went out and never came back in again. Abide with me, fast falls the evening tide, the darkness deepens, Lord, with me abide, when other helpers fail and comforts flee, help of the helpless, Lord, abide with me. Someday we're all going to have to sing that song. And as I've told you so many times, someday you're going to fall apart. You're going to fall apart. You're happy it isn't today. How old are you, little pussy girl? How old are you? Are you singing? I think you're about a year old. And you're beautiful. Oh, you're just so beautiful. And your son is beautiful. Your son is going today over to his new home with Mr. Kurt Vincent, who loves him. He's been here and he's got over his fright. And he walks around the whole place. Before, for 10 days at least, no, maybe 20 days, he stayed in the closet. He was so scared. But now he's over, lying down on the bed, watching you. Back to Be Perfect, and let's finish page 39. Okay, pussycat? Okay.com? I'll comb you.com with your special brush. This brush has a battery, a 9-volt battery in the handle, and you turn on the switch, and it just does wonders for their fur. Makes them so beautiful. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's 20 count blessings and rejoices. Count 15 blessings every hour. And rejoice every quarter hour over something. But you have to remember, .com, to turn off the switch. Because if we forget, we wear out the battery. And can you read this to the people? Can you read it to them? You can probably read it better than I can. See, as I've shown you before, Be Perfect is in boxes. And that's good because each box is an enormous thought, an enormous electric wave. Okay, the elasticity of the mind, like this waistband, the elasticity of the mind is the ability of the mind to return to original shape after distortion. So you go out and your mind is going to get distorted, but your mind has elasticity and it will return to its original peace and quiet and strength and insight and brilliance. Strain distorts the mind. Then there is stress, on the mind in return to return to the original shape. Strain distorts the mind, and then there's stress on the mind to return to its original shape. Happiness. Remember on happiness, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, think no evil, and do no evil. Don't have anything to do with evil. Don't watch bad news on television or in the newspaper or listen to it from other people. Stay away from evil. This is God's world, and it's perfect. The path of love is from the soul, through the mind, to the body. From the soul to the mind to the body. Thence to others. Thanks to you, little.com. Yeah. You deserve the best just the way any person does. An opaque mind lets no love through, and a translucent mind lets some love through, and a transparent mind lets nearly all the love through. I love it. Do you love it? A mind is prevented from being ideal by strain. A mind's wanting to be ideal causes a stress. This stress called forth in the mind is directly proportional to the strain. The stress is directly proportional to the strain. There's a hymn that talks about that. O Master, let me walk with thee in lowly paths of service free. You know what that is? Lowly paths of service free? Public access TV. It's a lowly path, and you do it free. You don't get paid. Teach me thy secret, help me to bear the strain of stress, the fret of care. But you don't have strain and you don't have stress if what? You stay one with God. And you stay one with God by thinking right, and by meditating, and by going out and doing things nice. .com. This couple was in Hawaii, and they said to the native, how do you pronounce it? Hawaii or Hawaii? And the native says, Hawaii. And the man says, thank you. And the native said, you're welcome. And at the, if you're at an auction, here's some friendly advice. Never wave to a friend at an auction. And the auctioneer said, sold to the man. No, sold to the woman whose husband has his hand over her mouth. Earthquake research. An earthquake is caused by one fault pushing on another. It's like being caught between your mother-in-law and your wife. Benny says, I always let my wife have the last word. And Peter says, you're lucky, mine never gets to hers. And Bill said his wife didn't have a sense of humor, and she says, oh yes I do, and I've got a document to prove it, the marriage license. And Eddie says he runs things in his house, and his wife says, that's right. He runs the vacuum cleaner, the dishwasher, and the lawnmower. How you doing, Dottie? Now thank we all our God. This song was written by Johann Sebastian Bach. Now thank we all our God with hearts and minds and voices, who wondrous things have done, in which the world rejoices, who from our mother's arms has led us on our way, with countless gifts of love, and still are ours today.